This is Umar for BoxNation. We're at Portman Road. What a beautiful day. I'm joined by Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren. You're so confident, both of you, that your boys are going to pull this off. Just, Eddie, break down why Justis wins this.
I think it's honestly a 50-50 fight. I love the style matchup in this fight. I said before, like, it really feels like sometimes when you got 3 or 4 weeks to go, it's really difficult to find a really good fight. And sometimes you can be a little bit aggressive with the pick. I said it feels a little bit like when we picked Andy Ruiz when Miller pulled out last time. Bad style for Fabio, and I just think we'll have his number in there with a movement. But obviously, look, Frank thinks differently. But I'll tell you what, I have to take my hat off because, you know, Frank knows boxing inside out. And maybe he gets this one right. But I can't help thinking that it's just a little bit too aggressive on the matchmaking. And that may be because we're friends now. And he thought, no, Eddie won't do me over like that, will he? And, you know, with DAZN wanting a great fight, he's delivered. Don't get me wrong, everyone in here and watching on DAZN, they've had it off. But I just fancy our man to do the business.
Eddie, you did kind of hint and say, you know, Frank and George, have they been a little bit naive in this one?
No, they're never naive, but they want to make good fights. That's the truth of it. They could have made an 80-20 fight or a 90-10. I think even Frank admits this is a 50-50 fight. Like, this is we couldn't believe it when we got the call. Frank, and you know, yeah, I just think it's a great fight.
Frank, do you actually see this as a 50-50?
I think it's a tough fight. Look, it's the number one in the WBA and the number one in the WBO fighting each other, both undefeated. He's got a stellar background as an amateur. Huni, what's he, 12-0 now?
Yeah.
He's a winning fighter. I've seen him fight in the flesh when he fought in Riyadh. He is a good quality fighter, but so's Fabio. And we obviously tried to make fights for our fighters that we feel they'll win. We sold, I think we're up to nearly 20,000 tickets we've sold here. So we've got to deliver for the fans, we've got to deliver for Fabio. And Fabio's one of those guys, I believe he rises to adversity. You know, the better the fighter, the better you get out of him. And I believe that'll be the case on the night. But it's a tough fight. And, you know, it's great that we are working there because we're making these fights happen. Whatever happens on the night, the fans are going to benefit because it will be a cracker of a fight. It's the old adage again, styles make fights. And these two guys, when they get in the ring together, it's going to be a brilliant fight. And we've had so many of them lately, you know, some really good quality matchups on. And I think it's going to be the same way.
Eddie, of course, you know Fabio so well. Justis did make the point, the only advantage you've got over me is power. Do you truly believe that? That's all that Fabio has?
No, I don't. I think Fabio is really an all-round fighter now. I think he's proved that. I think he's, you know, like people keep talking about this white-collar background, stuff like that, but sometimes you have to sort of forget about that and notice what he's doing in the pros. I think if you look at it, both guys, I know Lorraine has been a world champion at cruiserweight, and, you know, Tabiti was a world-class cruiserweight, but I don't think either guy has yet faced a real world-class heavyweight, and I think this is their first fighting world-class heavyweights, because that's what they both are. You know, you look at Fabio's wins, Fraser Clark and David Adeleye. There is 2 big wins. They're both British level guys. You know, I know Adelaide's coming good now under Booth, and I think he's a good fighter, but I just don't think you can call those guys world class. And maybe there's an argument the other way. And I think they're both in deep on the biggest of stages, a fantastic stadium, and a massive event for boxing.
I have to ask you about Michael Offo's comments. What did you think?
It's good. I mean, it's like, you know, I'm not here just to turn up and, like, not create any bit of promotion or hype. And, you know, he made me laugh because he was just saying, we're having a big camp, we're going to get in the trenches, we're going to do this. And I just said, oh. And I noticed when he come for the last fight, he was standing in the picture with his belt out, you know, and he sort of, the standard sort of crazy, you know, I built myself in boxing, I've come from nothing, you know, you had it all on a plate. And I didn't realise he was an osteopath, so I'll take it back. And boxing there's no barriers to entry in boxing. You can be an osteopath. Next thing, you're a manager carrying out their belt. You could be a window salesman. Next thing, you're in our office negotiating a fight. That's the crazy world of boxing. But sometimes you've got to be reminded. You know, I was around world-class fighting before you knew what a vertebrae was. That's the bottom line.
Eddie, obviously you've got Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen this Saturday.
Yes.
If Johnny Fisher comes through, you mentioned David Adeleye there. I don't know what's going on with the TKV rematch, but could we see Fisher and Adeleye?
Absolutely. Big fight. You know, I mean, they've got that first fight didn't play out as the fight that I thought it would be. I actually think the rematch will be a much better fight this time around. And Johnny Fisher, listen, he's got his hands full on Saturday. with Dave Allen. But if he comes through, Adeleye, TKV, all those guys, it's another great matchup.
Fights. They're all good fights, and they're happening at the moment. These fights, as we say, are happening. It's the heavyweight division so lively, so many good matches all going on, and for the fans, you're looking and you're watching, and you're thinking, right, well, he might be ready now to fight this one for that one. Great matchups to be made, and you think about so many good domestic bouts, so many good domestic fights between our respective stables of fighters. Brilliant.
Do you think Fury's going to come back?
Yes.
Only one man knows, I suppose, that's Tyson Fury, but he's putting out signs, isn't there?
Yeah, but look, I can't. Who knows with Tyson Fury? But I just believe he's still in his prime. I believe he still loves fighting. I believe he still loves the challenges. And one thing I've learned is definitely not to goad him. Make the decision in your own terms. If he does, wonderful for boxing, and when he does, I'm sure the man to my left will be equally as happy.
How many people do you think would be in the ticket queue if that fight got announced?
Oh, that's massive.
Over 1 million.
Over a million.
Over 1 million.
That's well, Billion and Tyson, there was 460,000 people in the queue. Queuing for tickets on day one.
It is the biggest fight in boxing by a country mile. A country mile.
Two more things. Did you think that Usyk-Dubois first fight, that was a low blow or not? I don't actually know your opinion.
I did. I mean, personally, I keep seeing the photos. At the time of the punch, I believe it was low. Was it borderline? Yes. Were his trunks high? Maybe. So, for me, I did think that it was below the shorts. Where's the navel? Where's all this kind? Was it Louis Pabon? Was he the referee?
Correct.
Does he have to say, look, we can't see your navel, you got to pull your shorts down?
He didn't do any of that.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Don't mention his name around Frank.
Oh, Louis Pabon. Okay.
Whatever you do, don't mention.
But one thing I will say is, Usyk don't like it to the body. No. And he was probably lucky, because even if it was 3 or 4 inches higher, I think it would have had the same effect that it had.
And it would have gone on.
It didn't hit him in the nuts, put it that way.
When he went on Piers Morgan, didn't they, a couple of weeks ago after the fight, and they played it back, and it was here, it was right there. That's where it was. You see it on there. All the photographs. It depends where they decide they want to stop, where the punch is coming from, and where it lands. But listen, do you know what? All of that now is irrelevant. He's got to, Daniel, on the 19th. What he's got to do the 19th of July is show what he's all about. He knows that he can hurt him. And Usyk knows that as well.
He's a completely different fighter now.
He is. Well, they said it, their team. They're not fighting Daniel the boy, they're fighting Daniel the man. That's what they're fighting.
Frank, to be putting 2 heavyweight stadium shows back to back, that must be very good for yourself and the zone, June and July.
Yeah, it's good for all of us. I mean, this business is cycles. You invest in fighters, you build it up to get yourself into the position and get the fights in the position to do that. And it's a fantastic role that we're on at the moment. I mean, we had some good fights, some seriously good fights. Great fight last week. Anto Cacace was outstanding last week.
Yeah, Eddie, before I let you go, what do you think of Steve Gray's scorecard at Leeward Up?
Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, I actually think Steve Gray's a very good official. I mean, look, sometimes people don't get it right, but I wouldn't have expected. He knows boxing. I mean, he's refereed hundreds of fights, judged hundreds of fights. I don't know how you can have anything but Anto Cacace dominating that fight. It was quite bizarre. And again, sometimes people say, I quite like the idea of these judges giving the reasons why after. I don't think every judge should go before BoxNation or IFL, but so sometimes, I'm sure Steve Gray has his reasons why he scored it like that. Scoring's subjective, so we're never going to agree with it, but it would be good to actually hear, well, I scored it like this because the fight that everybody else watched, you'd struggle to give Leeward more than 1 or 2 rounds.
Maybe we just rely on AI from now.
No, don't rely on AI, whatever you do.
I think the thing about that is, but then again, if you've got the referees or judges, or the judges, I should say, afterwards giving their reasons why, next minute everybody want to get in sponsors, we'll be getting Specsavers involved. It just get ridiculous at the end of the day.
Listen, thanks for your time, Eddie. Best of luck with the show this Saturday. Cheers. Fisher v Allen at the Copper Box. Frank, we'll see you soon.
See ya.